We'll do it live! Fuck it!
Buttholes, balls, makes the world go round.
Welcome to...
Do you want to create a picture on your girlfriend's tits?
Jesus Christ, somebody jerked this man off.
I just took my Mullinix.
I don't give a fuck.
Hey, it's MisterPodcast. I'm the only fucking one here, so I figured I'd just ramble like a fucking insane madman for about an hour straight. See how long it takes people to drop like fucking flies. Probably not long. Probably a lot of you people have turned this shit off already when you heard it's just my voice and nothing else for the whole fucking hour. That is a fate you cannot fucking put up with for yourself. Anyway, now the music is fading out. Yes, yes. Very professional show tonight. Actually, I have no fucking subjects to talk about whatsoever. Yeah, I'm basically just sitting in a garage by myself. One of the co-hosts, fucking Aaron, is completely offline. No idea where to find him. In his defense, he did ask if there was a show today, and just no one ever answered him because I was at work, and by the time I saw the message, it was old. And Dave is doing something, I guess, because he said he had no idea there was a show. And I'm sure I'm boring the shit out of everybody with the specifics like this. But so, to open the show tonight, I wanted to talk about the best time I ever farted. And now, I believe there is a fart pinnacle in every man's life. Every once in a while, you will either fart with the perfect tone or at the perfect moment to just make the whole concept of farts glorious before God, for the universe, for everyone. It's a fart glory story is what I want to share with you. And I'm going to build it up really long-windedly because I'm trying to put a lot of fluff into everything I say because it's only me for this whole fucking hour and that's ridiculous. But it's kind of my fault, so fuck it. Anyway, best fart ever in the universe. I was probably in about second grade, and I forget who my regular teacher was because my long-term memory sucks as bad as my short-term memory, I guess. But we had a substitute teacher one day. And she was a real cunt. And even looking back on it, I can't say, well, she was just trying to rein in the class. She's got to tell people things they don't like or whatever. No, it's just, there's no valid excuse for this woman to talk to children the way she did. So, looking back on it, I still consider this a glorious fart story. And I don't feel one bit guilty about it. Because if you're going to be a cunt to a bunch of fucking 8, 9-year-olds, eventually one of them's going to make a fool of you somehow. I mean, if you just look at the sheer numbers of how it's going to happen, you have your teaching career going on for so long. One of those kids is going to fucking trump you once in a while. And that time it happened to be me. I was rather rambunctious in school. And I had a hard time focusing. I actually had to repeat second grade because I didn't do shit but like throw paper at other kids and play with my shoelaces and just wait to go home and be understimulated as fuck because teachers are boring and they talk slow for all the other idiots in the room. This is how I pass off me failing second grade, I like to, look at it as if, I was just so far advanced that I was just bored with the curriculum and, I was understimulated. That's all there was to it. I didn't, repeat second. Am I saying enough? Enough tangents anyway. I didn't repeat second grade because I was just a lazy retard when I was like, 7 or 8? No, I repeated it because I was bored, because it was beneath me. Get where I'm going with this? Anyway, second grade, substitute teacher. There's a school called Ferndale Elementary, and I was shuffling around in my chair. I was obviously doing something. I don't put that part of the story. Yeah, I did something to deserve whatever it was, but this lady pulled me up in the front of the class, and she's a black lady. She had that ethnic slant to everything she did. She shook her head and did the Ebonics, just super stereotypical, and that's not my fault, so don't bitch at me for saying it. But she's wagging her finger in my face and, really trying to, I guess her tactic was to humiliate me in front of the class. But she's new around here, so she didn't realize that I've had this done so much to me that I developed this fucking armor against it. So I'm standing there with a smirk on my face while she's just telling me off, like ghetto queen style. And at the end of it, she stops. And she says, Now, do you have anything else you want to say to the rest of the class and me? I just looked her dead in the eye. I let the fucking, it was the perfect volume fart with the perfect amount of wetness, the perfect character. I mean, if I was tasting a fine wine, if I were to analyze a fart the way a wine taster analyzes his wines, I would say that was the perfect fucking bouquet for that cunt of the moment. So she asked me that. I fucking let off a fart. Everybody in class fucking bursts into laughter. This bitch is humiliated. Anyway, I get sent to the office. And my logic was, because I thought this through. I think a lot of things through before. I was impulsive, but I had my little reasons for doing the things I did. And, when I was considering farting, when I felt it building in my bowels as I was getting the ghetto bitch out, I was like, it's a bodily function, Nobody can really blame you for stuff that your body does. I didn't have the ability to differentiate like different cases, like, well, you're not allowed to belch in somebody's face and stuff like that. No, my whole line of reasoning in my head, because I really wanted to allow myself to fart at this bitch, is that it's just a natural body reflex. There's nothing you can do about it. It happens, and that's all there is to it. And how can you be blamed for being a human being? This was basically my preemptive defense alibi story, because I knew I was going to get sent to the office. So I'm thinking I did something completely innocent. I'm going to the office. I'm like, well, it's a bodily function. I'm a human being and stuff like that. Didn't work. I got suspended from school for farting. And that's interesting. And I don't know. I'm not even sure what they put on that form, on the bubble sheet for that, but I imagine it's something vanilla, like passed gas or whatever. But you're going to look at this paper, no matter how clerically toned it is or what kind of clinical terms that, they use, and you're going to devise that this kid farted at this teacher. How could that not make you laugh? I'm sure even the people that were suspending me and the administrators who were enforcing the rules, as soon as me and my parents left the room, they probably cracked up. They probably went home and told their families, I suspended a kid for farting today. And that's a nice little fond memory that I like to, you don't have many proud moments. And one of mine happens to be a fart at a cunt. And really, wouldn't the world be a better place if we could just fart at all the cunts? I'm going to get that engraved on something. I'm going to get that hand burned into a fucking wooden handle of some Dutch tool somewhere. You can build a barn with that shit, bitch. Jesus Christ. This is what I sound like when I'm running out of things to talk about. So I'm going to retreat to my computer while I ramble like a fucking madman and see. There's a plethora of stories online that are stored that I wanted to bring up at the last podcast, but little does everyone know we recorded it and then it immediately got deleted. So that's why that didn't get posted. It really wasn't that good anyway. It was just a cacophony of people talking over each other the whole fucking time. And so I figured I'd give you the absolute contrast of that. And it's just one guy just, telling you about his farts and stuff like that. Okay, yeah, I wanted to get in depth on this. I came across on Facebook not long ago that they're on Tumblr and stuff like that, and there's all these jokes about the Colorado theater massacre and stuff like that, and there's people making jokes about it. And now actually on Tumblr there are people who are making groups called the Homies, where they really understand this guy that charged into this theater and shot children in the face and stuff like that, and they're really getting behind him. The energy of it kind of reminds you a lot of the ladies who write letters to serial killers and marry the fucking psychos while they're in the penitentiary and never get to screw them, so what's the point? Anyway, there's people calling themselves the Homies, backing this James Holmes guy. And they're making groups about it and stuff like that. And the first thought that I have is, when you back somebody, when you support somebody, commonly, especially if it's political, as cheap as it sounds, commonly you'll put their face on a t-shirt and advertise it wherever you go and just stand up for your political beliefs and stuff like that. But there's no people doing that in this kind of fucked up, really just scummy internet arena. There's these people that band together in these groups and they shout, these are our beliefs. But the only place that it's prevalent is on the internet. You'll never see, and this draws back to those brony kids. They just want to shock you. That's all they want to do. They want to tell you, I'm into this, or I support this, just so you go, what the fuck are you doing? That's the reaction that they want. And I guarantee you, about 99% of them, aside from a couple little Fruit Loops, aren't backing whatever cause this is that they're saying they're behind in order to shock you, because the whole point is just to play a joke on you. That's all it is, really. So half of it you can dismiss, you can take with a grain of salt. And these brony people, we're 21-year-old to 25-year-old males that watch My Little Pony and fuck you and let the butthurt flow. And just that saying in and of itself, let the butthurt flow, that's very telling, because that's exactly what they're after. They'll say it before anyone even questions them about it. Because it just irks people. I can't really pin down the primal principle that it goes against, really, but it's just, it makes you want to say something. I don't know. Is it immature of me to think that way? I don't know, but it just makes me want to say something. When a 23-year-old guy is posting pictures of pink little horses that were drawn for 8-year-old girls to enjoy, and they're just waiting with bated breath for your reaction to their, proclamation that they're into this thing. It's just a weird game that people play, and I think it's taken a pretty fucked up turn, because I like to look around at the world and say, okay, this is a somewhat okay place to live, as delusional as that sounds. As crazy as that fucking sentiment comes across this day and age, I like to minimize the amount of examples that I see that just remind me that this world is just completely fucked, which it is. And maybe that's just me trying to stick my head in the sand or whatever. And there are a lot of real issues out there that I just don't choose to think about because I've got my own issues, and you can only take so much on, and you got to put number one first sometimes and stuff like that. I think a lot of people think that way, but is it really, a valiant thing to do to shove this Colorado theater massacre in people's face with these kind of things? And their first reasoning is going to be, oh, you don't really care about it. And then they'll list off these other atrocities that are happening other places in the world, and they'll say you don't care about those, so why should you care about this? It doesn't make sense for you to speak up about this. It seems like out of all the things you don't care about, you're pretending to care about this thing just to fuck with me for posting it. That's the stance that they take against you, and it's so fucking ridiculous. And most people don't call that out for what it is. They just continue the argument in a linear fashion. They don't take a step back and say, this is what you're doing. This is what's happening right here. You're trying to play little fucking butthurt games. That's what I'm going to call it. But I don't get butthurt, really. I shake my head, and I will say something back a lot of times if I see this kind of thing going on. And I know it's not going to do anything. It's just to alleviate my own frustration in the moment. At least if I'm getting fired upon, and as far as I see it, I can fire back in some way, so I can just, relieve the stress. I can be like, what's wrong with you? You're fucking stupid, Did you not get enough hugs? What the hell is the deal here? And they all think they're being edgy, and they want to shake you from your comfort zone and all that stuff. And I have a YouTube channel. I don't know if a lot of people have watched that channel, but I've never really touched a lot of that stuff. I've kept it relatively slapstick, I'll call somebody a fag or whatever, but I won't delve any deeper. I won't try to insinuate, really just inventively soulless shit to try to just smear in their face. It's just lazy. It's just fucking just putting your offending canon on blast and just not even being artful about it, you know, because I agree. Some people need to be offended, and remaining unoffended is not a right. You know, that goes against freedom of speech and all that stuff, but freedom of speech is not universal amongst all platforms in life. You know what I mean? If somebody has a store in the front window, you can't just write whatever you want on the window of their fucking store. They'll arrest you. And you go, I just wanted to say that. I wanted the people to read that. That was my free speech. Now, tell that shit to a judge. It's kind of a fucked up example, but I'm trying to come up with something on the spot. You know what I mean? Like, you can't say bomb on an airplane. That's a common one that people throw around. You probably don't even want to say bomb in the line to the airplane or in the parking lot to the airport these days, for fuck's sakes. I don't even want to say bomb right now. I did not mean to say that. I probably set off some kind of fucking CIA thing that filters all the audio on the internet and listens for keywords like bomb and Osama and friggin' Al Qaeda. And God damn it, I'm just drawing them to me more. I need to shut the fuck up now. That fart was great, huh? Yeah, farts. Shit. Please don't put me on the no-fly list. I find that a lot of people that are on the no-fly list, they don't send you a letter or something. You just try to get on a plane one day and they're like, oh, you appear to be on a no-fly list. Like, I don't like to fly, but how do I know that's not going to happen to me? Because I look up conspiracy theories on the internet and stuff, and I don't know. Maybe I'm just paranoid. Maybe I need to get my tinfoil hat. My grandfather was very paranoid. You know, up until he died, he was recording his phone calls and doing all kinds of weird shit, thinking everybody was after him. Maybe I'm headed towards that. Maybe I'll be nice and senile when I get 80 years old. That'd be kind of awesome. I would kind of look at that as a vacation. I've never had a senile relative, really. You know, because my grandfather, I don't know if you'd consider him senile so much as just fucking out of his mind. Senile at least calms down every once in a while. He was methodical and just, some would say evil, and some would say that I have developed or inherited some of his traits, which I think about constantly, because I still have impulses that are pretty aggressive, but, you know, a lot of people have seen that, and now I'm just rambling about shit that I usually think about. I forgot where I was even going with this. That's how sad this podcast is. It's not even professional. Oh, yeah, does anybody have any senile people in their family? Like, that they have had a lot of experience with and have got to live with and try to coexist with? I know I had a friend named Alan not long ago, and everything in his kitchen was labeled. Like knives, spoons. It's because his grandmother would constantly forget where things went and would just put shit in weird places. So they had to label, they came up with this label system. And that's the closest to real senility I've been, aside from when I was delivering pizzas. And this is fucked up. I used to go to the hospital every once in a while delivering pizzas. I didn't think anything of it. You usually go to the triage and there's the two ladies and maybe they'll send you upstairs somewhere. They'll give you a little pass or whatever. Tips were never great from the hospital, by the way, which I don't understand, because you get a job at the hospital, I'd imagine you're making a lot of money, especially if you're at that front desk with the triage. You got to have clerical skills or whatever. See how fucking alien I am to the professional world. I don't know what the salary grade of people that work in hospitals are, but I imagine it would be more than a pizza guy. You can at least kick out more than $2, which is what I remember the average tip being. But one time I got a call to go to a hospital, and it was a little building in the parking lot to the hospital. It was like connected to the health clinic or something like that. And there was an Alzheimer's ward, and that's where I was to go. There was directions to the door. I didn't know I was going to an Alzheimer's ward, so I couldn't mentally prepare myself for whatever the fuck was going to happen. So I round the corner into this door, and it's immediately still in this big square room. It's like a weird scene out of Poltergeist or something. There's no sound except the whirring of the fucking air conditioning. And the room is pretty much a big square. It has 4 sides, and the door was on one of the sides that I came in, so nobody was on that side. But on the remaining 3 sides of this square room, the walls were lined with chairs, and the chairs were filled with just catatonic old people staring straight ahead. I swear to God, I could hear O Fortuna in the background and shit. And I was immediately weirded out. I felt like I was in a zombie movie or something. Like, these people are going to start jumping up and doing flips and just kick my fucking ass. They're all old and frail, so I'd, like, punch one, and I'd, like, punch a hole through their forehead, and they'd fall over. It's like, and they would just sheerly outnumber me and just pile up on top of me. And then I would explode out of this pile of crazy old people, and just fucking artificial hips would be flying everywhere. I didn't know what the fuck was going to happen, but I had to walk down the center of the room filled with all these catatonic old people. And it was the most fucked up experience in my pizza delivering career. And I've had a lot of strange experiences in my pizza delivering career, which maybe I'll talk about in a minute. But it's hard to describe. It doesn't really sound that bad when you sit here and try to paint the picture to people. Oh, it's a room full of old people that are all staring straight ahead. But human beings don't behave that way. I don't see old people as something that are trainable. Like, you know, okay, everybody do this at the same time. You can't choreograph them, really. And somebody's going to prove me wrong. They're going to send me a video or something, but... Oh, yeah! The fuck was I talking about? Old people. They don't behave that way. Brilliant segue. Oh my God. This is quality podcasting. If you're still listening to this, if you're listening to one guy ramble about his stupid, boring life, I got to commend you for your level of interest in things that are so fucking obscure that they barely even matter. I think the first episode of Mr. Podcast, and that was with 3 people on it, only like 35 people downloaded it. So I'm not even sure who I'm talking to at this point. But anyway, it's definitely a strange experience. It's too extreme. They placed explosives to blow out Nessie out of the water. It's too strange of an experience to fucking really describe, and I think I've just talked about it too fucking much by this point. Like I said, I'm trying to fluff everything up. But that was one of the fucked up things that happened to me when I was delivering pizzas. Yeah. There's some of the other ones. There are so many that I have to sit here and delve backwards into my pizza career. There's a big fucked up, stiffing fucking collage going on in my head right now. Rather large woman, large black woman, just for descriptive purposes. It doesn't make no difference. Any large woman that shows up to their door with just, you know, lingerie. The big lingerie, like lingerie you could probably hook up to a boat and catch some wind with. Any fat woman, no matter what color she is. If you're like a 350-pounder and you answer the door for your pizza in full lingerie, smelling like some weird Kmart perfume or whatever, it's going to stick out in his memory. I don't know why I felt the need to mention she was black. I'm not going to go into the whole racism thing or whatever, but that was a lot of black bitch. That was a lot of black bitch. And I don't remember really getting a tip, so I was pissed. I was pissed that I had to see that, and I had to basically work for her. A voice clip and everything, because I don't know how to fucking talk, because I'm on a fucking podcast all by my fucking self. Fuck you if you don't like it. I ain't getting paid shit, so you can suck a dick, because fucking stupid fat bitches always be answering their door. No, it only happened once. I almost got attacked by a pit bull once. That was pretty interesting, actually. I wasn't even at the right house for that. From that day forward, I have never trusted a dog with a blank look on its face. Because every time I see a dog, I try to make friends with it. That's my first instinct. As long as the dog wasn't visibly pissed off, or obviously didn't want me to get the fuck out of its vicinity. And you can pretty much tell when most of them look at you, hey, I ain't feeling this shit. They're going to let you know, non-verbal cues. But this dog, Little black pit bull, muscular, little fucking lean dog, just fucking little wrecking ball dog, just saunters around the corner when I'm at the end of the wrong driveway in this house in the woods. And he's just got this blank look on his face. And I'm like, okay. I don't stop my stride. I keep walking. I'm in the process of walking as this dog comes around the corner. And I'm just like, hey, doggy. And this dog immediately, whoo, 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 and he starts inching towards me. I got one of those big adrenaline rushes, you know, where your mouth tastes like it's got pennies in it and just the whole 9 yards. And my whole thought process was like, I know if I turn my back on this dog is going to go for my fucking Achilles tendons. That's what I pictured, you know, the dog just ripping meat off of the back of my calves, which I don't have much of anyway, so I need what's there, you know, for mobility purposes and stuff. Whatever, you know, I need that. Don't fucking eat that. Don't eat shit I need. That works in any fucking context you put it in. Don't eat shit that I need. So I would not turn my back on this dog because I know how they try to establish dominance and everything. And maybe it was a dumb move, but I maintained eye contact with this dog. I just repeatedly yelled, back! That was my solution. I yelled back, and he would advance a little bit, and I would kind of like do little weird micro bunny hops backwards. And he backed me up all the way to my car, and he stopped at a certain point. And I knew he was wearing some kind of collar. I think there was an invisible fence, and we reached the edge of it, but I was allowed to get, I had enough time to get in my car. The dog was still just standing right at the foot of my car as I was going in reverse, bitching about fuck this shit and I need to find a new job and all that stuff and punching my roof. I punched my steering wheel so bad that the horn stuck down. I had to pull into this neighborhood. And it's so loud. And I had to open the hood to try to figure out what was wrong. And that made it even louder. So people start coming out of their houses and people walk up to me. Hey, what the fuck's wrong? Are you okay? And I just busted out with the truth. I wasn't going to try to make some kind of clandestine cover story for this shit. I was like, cars wouldn't let me out on what's it called, Route 2, so I was punching my steering wheel. Ow. I have flare-ups of anger sometimes that manifest themselves physically, usually on inanimate objects. But a lot of people that know me know that about me. I try to keep it under control, but every once in a while, just a steering wheel has to go down. That's just the law of the universe, for now at least. I'm going to become a Buddhist or whatever, but these people are trying to fucking help me. The solution we found was eventually to just rip the fuse out to the horn. And for some reason, the fuse to my horn was the same fuse that went to the hazard lights. So probably for the past 3-4 years, I haven't had a horn or hazard lights. Two things you probably need. In fact, the car I'm driving right now, if I took that thing for a Maryland safety inspection, oh my God. They would just laugh me out of the garage. That thing is so completely unsafe. I don't know, maybe Maryland state troopers are going to be listening to this show and come show up with a ticket. Why am I so paranoid? I think the CIA is going to home in on me saying bomb and Al-Qaeda, and I think the fucking state troopers are going to come ticket my unsafe car just because of what I say on a fucking podcast that no one even listens to. It's because I watch CSI, man. They can find one fucking drop of semen on a shag rug and fucking devise that, okay, this guy hogtied this bitch here and killed her. Like, they get, well, not that they devote that amount of resources to someone as insignificant as me saying bomb. Well, let me see what other stories I brought up from last time that I didn't get to decide. Now you get to listen to me browse the internet. Isn't this fucking entertaining? Isn't this fucking great? Basically, there is not a lot of shit. Not a lot of shit. Not a lot of shit that there is a lot of shit on here, but I don't want to steal other people's stuff. The last, we have a Facebook group for the podcast, and the last message on the Facebook group is fucking Aaron going, any shows planned? I talked to Dave yesterday, and he was like, did you want to do a show tonight? And I said, probably better tomorrow. And then I set up all the stuff in here, and it's tomorrow now, but he didn't realize that I was talking about recording a show tonight. So that's basically why I decided to do it by myself. And sometimes I'm close to the mic. Sometimes I'm far away. Why? Because it's professional. It's professional. Maybe I'd mentioned that I bought another car. Maybe I could tell you the story about how much of a bitch it was to tag this fucking car. Went to the DMV or MVA, whatever the fuck they want to call it in Maryland, because Maryland likes to screw around with everything. I went to the MVA the day after I bought the car. I had to leave the car in a bar parking lot, so I was kind of skittish about the car being there, so I wanted to have all the red tape wrapped up as soon as possible. I had to get, I don't know how it is in your state, but in Maryland you have to get a safety inspection on the car. I imagine it's like that in most states, but I had to get the temporary tags to drive the car out of that bar parking lot. So I was trying to do that the next day. Woke up early and everything. I had to work that day, but I didn't have to be there till the afternoon. So I drove out to Annapolis at the MVA, and I basically sat there for an hour and a fucking half, just on a hard steel bench. Guy standing over my fucking shoulder, reading along with my fucking cell phone. I think I was reading crack.com. I had to put that shit away because I could feel the hot air from his nostrils just be falling upon my shoulder. It was like a warm breeze. And it totally matched the mood of the fucking screaming child in the background and the people that were standing on the counter right in front of me, who should have been facing away, but kept turning around and staring directly at me in the most creepy fucking fashion possible, while the droning voice goes on. Now, serving I-101. It's like the most fucked up game of bingo. It's bingo from fucking hell. You get your little ticket and you hope they fucking call your number. They're going to call my number? Is my number getting closer? But you don't know when your number's getting closer. You have no fucking clue because they give you this fucking random like serial number. It's a letter and a couple of numbers and they don't call them in order. It's like, why did they do that? Why did they jumble this shit so you don't know if you're getting closer and you have no idea how many people are ahead of you? I mean, you get a vague feeling for it by how many people are already in the room when you show up, but why do they want to psychologically fuck with you like that? You're already doing something that's just basically an obligation, a chore. There's nothing you want to do. You go to the DMV or MVA, excuse me. You know, when you buy a car, you want to just drive it from where you buy it. All this shit is just so obligatory, and you're there because they summoned you there, basically. And they're going to fuck with you after you get there. It's not a fucking good example of what it's, or not a good, what's it called? Not a good omen or representative of the Maryland government dealing with this kind of bureaucratic stuff, but they just never called my fucking number. And like I said, I couldn't really tell if I was getting closer or how many people away I was, and I had already made myself an hour and a half late by the point that I just audibly said, fuck it, just stood up. I was going to give the guy next to me my ticket and be like, Merry Christmas. Maybe they'll call this within the next fucking year. But I just left it on the bench. Maybe he picked it up. Maybe he got some service fast. Seemed like a nice guy. Wasn't annoyingly staring at me or reading over my shoulder. Where do these assholes come from? Anyway, I made myself an hour and a half late from work. And I have work that piles up if you don't do it. So extreme fucking mess for me to clean up. And yeah, that whole day sucked. That was a completely shitty day. I had one of those flare-ups where I basically slid a fucking wire basket that holds linens across a kitchen very hard until it hit some glass racks that were lined up against the wall. Why did I do that? Because I tripped over it and I hurt myself. And my first instinct when I hurt myself is I punch things or throw things when I hurt myself. I don't know if anybody else is like that. Maybe it's just a weird quirk of mine. But if I stub my toe, I'll put my fist in the wall next to it. Maybe it's just to distract myself. I don't fucking know. But my hands just kind of picked up this linen basket and threw it. And once again, I forget where I was going with that. I told you, this was going to be like the descent into madness. And I can't believe that I've made it 35 minutes and 30 seconds, which is probably not a good number, of me just constantly talking. When I'm done doing this show, I'm just going to go upstairs and shut the fuck up. Because this is probably the most I've ever talked straight in my entire life. I've never been required to give any kind of oration at a goddamn college or anything like that. I imagine if I did, it would be very awkward and very fucking boring. Much like this podcast is that you probably have turned off, which brings back the question, who am I talking to right now? Who fucking knows who I'm talking to right now? You might be the lone listener of a guy sitting in a garage talking to himself on a microphone. Because he's got nobody want to do the podcast. No. I'm going to sing a song. Ain't nobody going to do the podcast. Fuck y'all. No, not fuck you. Because it's kind of my fault. It's kind of my fault that no one is here to do the podcast. One of them is online right now. I probably could pull him into the podcast. But I'm not even going to bother. Because I kind of like the idea of me just constantly fucking doing this entire thing. I'm not sure what value this has right now. Baltimore shooting victim has Down syndrome. Why would you shoot somebody with Down syndrome? Only in Baltimore. Hold on. I just opened an article here. Shooting victim has Down syndrome. All right, maybe the shooting suspect had Parkinson's. And he meant to shoot the crip with Parkinson's. Because we only do the red shakies. I don't know. Hold on. This is from Good Morning America. This hardly seems like a good morning story to me. When Robert Gladden allegedly opened fire in Perry Hall High School cafeteria, he critically injured Danielle Borrowy, a 17-year-old who has Down syndrome. Trish Smelser of Baltimore, Maryland, met Borrowy's mother, Rosemary, at a Down syndrome support group when Borrowy was 1 year old. Smelser's daughter, who was best friends with Borrowy and had a fellow classmate, also has Down syndrome. Why are they not talking about the circumstances in which somebody was shooting somebody in a cafeteria? During the shooting at Perry Hall High School in the Baltimore suburb of White Marsh. Oh, fucking White Marsh. Figures. And right now, this whole thing just feels like you're listening to a guy read news stories to himself. And I bet a lot of people who are still listening are fucking shaking their heads. They're shaking their heads and face palming. Face palm. Whenever I say a cliche like that, I like to think I say it ironically. Because I'm the one who poo-poos all that stuff. Man, fuck that. Fuck that shit. Usually I hate recycled humor. You know what recycled humor is? It's like when you watch something funny, and then the guy next to you... I'm explaining this horribly. It's like when you watch something funny, and then you go to work the next day, and you just repeat a line from it to the guy next to you. And you both laugh, and like, ha ha. Sometimes it's funny. If you do it to a specific situation, it can be funny. But if you just blurt it out of nowhere, oh, this is a line from a movie I like. I'm a fucking parrot / puppet, whatever. That's not even funny to me. That's just lazy shit. It's the equivalent of that's what she said. Fuck what she said. Who cares? Gives a shit. Who is this bitch and why is she saying so much? You know, I would like to write her a letter. Be like, bitch, stop saying stuff. Because I'm tired of hearing about it from fucking thugged out rednecks in Calvert County. Which is basically what they are. I was kind of born and raised, for the most part, in the southern Baltimore-ish area. And we had kids who think they're gangsters. I think that's everywhere. But down here, about an hour and a half south of that whole area, is southern Maryland. Southern Maryland. It sounds hickish when you say it. But there's definitely a hickish element infused into the culture of standard cliche gangsterishness that you see everywhere you go anyway. That's the new cool thing. It's been like that for a long time. Even the fucking heavy metal bands are starting to wear this fucking... We used to call them yo boys, because me and my little circle of friends never really fell victim to the trend. I mean, a couple of them did kind of halfway. If you notice, I talk like a white person, so that part never affected me. I didn't, there's kids that I remember talking perfectly normal in 5th grade. By the time 7th grade rolls around, I haven't seen them in a couple of years. All right, well, yeah, dog. What the fuck? How'd your parents act when you just decided you wanted to start talking that way one day? It's just, how can you be that completely dishonest with who you are as a person and where you came from and what you're like and what you are? You're just going to interchange something about yourself at will just because you think it looks cool. It's ridiculous. I went off on a tangent about that, but yeah, yo boy rednecks, rampant throughout Calvert County. It's like being a gangster with elements of outdoorsiness to it, like dirt bikes and fucking pickup trucks and shit like that. And a lot of them have girlfriends that go to country concerts, so they go with their girlfriends to the country concerts. And are they country fans? It's not clear. I don't fucking know. I don't care to ask, but it seems like everybody listens to country music. And a couple of people that I know and like fall under these kind of descriptions. I just want to say it's not you. It's not you I'm talking about. Well, it is kind of, because I'm not saying anything derogatory. Although a lot of these types are annoying. There's nothing to do in this county, really. There's no big mecca building you can go to. Young people don't play bingo. What there is around here is a lot of trees and fields and shopping centers with big parking lots. So what a lot of these kids like to do is gather in these parking lots and marvel at each other's cars and stuff like that. And they always act like fucking morons when they do this shit. And I'm sorry, that's just my opinion. One is over by McDonald's. There's a gigantic congregation of people over there. And like, if I was in that party, if I was part of that and somebody started peeling out next to a busy McDonald's or fucking just trying to see how fast they can get to 60 in the middle of a fucking parking lot, which a couple of them on the motorcycles seem to be doing, I'd be like, hey, man, the cops are going to fucking show up and you're going to ruin this whole thing for everybody. I'd be the fucking wet blanket, which is probably part of why I don't belong in crowds of people like that. Crowds of people like that tend to hate me. I don't know why. Well, I probably just explained it, but they act like fucking idiots. I mean, Jesus Christ, I don't know if I'm showing my age. I'm going to be 35 in probably about 6 weeks. But just kids do stupid shit for no fucking reason. Other than to go, that seems like that's all it is to me. Maybe there's some deeper thing to it. I don't know, this is how the young male establishes his dominance or some shit like that. And I probably nailed it right there. Because there's nothing deeper going on than what kind of car you drive. Nobody's exalted for being smart or knowing the most things or anything like that. It's all easy, shallow, fucking easily attainable stuff. I mean, all it takes is money, stuff like that. And there's just a different style of people down here. I don't know. I guess a lot of the same logic applies to a lot of the people where I come from. But a lot of the people where I come from, I mean, if you have the annoying types, they tend to stay a little more tight-lipped because at any point in time, they could basically just get their asses kicked by somebody. So, like, a lot of these people know, a lot of the more obnoxious type nerdy people, not that I have anything against people who are nerdy, But there are certain people who should just not be loud. There are certain people who just shut up, you know what I mean? They should not be taking liberties with people they don't know because they're not doing it right. They think they're better at the dance of socialness than they actually are. So they end up just putting their feet in their fucking mouths and nobody's around. When they faux pas or fucking go over the line and nobody kicks their ass. And I'm thinking like that, these people are just running rampant. I've seen a few of them. One of them nicknamed himself Dunk Fantastic. If you walk down fucking Church Street in Brooklyn Park with a nickname like Dunk Fantastic, they're going to dunk their fucking feet in your asshole. They're going to kick you in the fucking head and take your jacket. This is Dunk Fantastic's jacket. It's fucking awesome. They don't talk like that. It'd be awesome if gangsters talk like that, though. I would be a lot more into gangsters. Hey, bitch, I got my Glocks in my nines. Talk like old Jewish people. You think maybe I could start some kind of subliminal ad campaign? Maybe I could meet with some record executives behind the scenes and we could start getting everybody to talk like old Jewish people. It didn't really work when they tried to start calling guns biscuits. That never really caught on. Like 2 people did it and like, I guess there is some discerning, but like they mostly seem to do just whatever you tell them to. As long as the song sounds cool enough, no matter how ridiculous the phrase is, they will repeat it. As long as that, the song's got heavy bass, that means this stupid word is relevant in the English language. I remember the first time I heard somebody use bling bling in everyday conversation. It was at a flea market that I happened to work at. I was probably about 21 years old. Because that shit was a long time ago when that came out. Can you hear these fucking crickets? Crickets want to ruin all my recordings I do in here. But yeah. Oh man, that shit's expensive, dog. Bling bling. That shirt's expensive, dog. Bling bling. And this guy's... I wanted to like... fucking shoot him. I was the like whitest person at the flea market and I wanted to bust a cap in somebody. God, I sound ridiculous even saying that sentence. But yeah, if we could warp that around to just make them, hey, bling, bling, hey, bling. If we could just make it like that. Can somebody make like a song sound cool enough with robot voices and heavy bass? Make people talk like old Jewish people while they're dressed like gangsters. Told you. I told you. This was going to be the descent of one man into madness, rambling about nothing for a fucking hour. Just to see if I can do this entire podcast by myself. How many times have I said my mission statement? This is my way of distracting you from the fact that I really don't have shit to talk about. Right now would be about the time I would take some callers. Callers would be awesome. But I'm not broadcasting on no fucking radio station. All this shit is jerry-rigged, dog. It's all free accounts and just fucking... It's pretty much meaningless. This goes to show you how little I have to do. I like to defend that by saying, I don't want to go out and spend money, which is technically the case. I'm pretty much in the house. I just bought a $2,000 car. I ain't going to be going like to Disney World anytime soon. So I got to figure out something to do around here. So why not ramble into a microphone to people who are willing to listen to it for an hour at a fucking time? It's ridiculous. This shit's not even funny. It's not even funny. In fact, I'm pretty sure I'm talking to absolutely 0 people right now. Pirates kidnap 24 and gunfight near Togo. But I'm a dumb American, so I'm geologically retarded, and I don't know where Togo is. Off the Togo coast. Pirates attacked an oil tanker. Ooh, going for big game. Damn, they kidnapped some Russians and shit, dog. They be tripping. Hold up. Wasn't immediately clear if anyone was injured in the attack of the Greek oil tanker, which had been anchored about 17 nautical miles away from Lome, Togo capital, dog. The pirates took control of the vessel quickly, though an alarm from the ships alerted the Togolese. Togolese? If you're from Togo, they get to call... I want to be from Togo. Can I be an honorary Togolese? Am I saying it right? The ship alerted the Togolese Navy. Noel Chung, an official with the International Maritime Bureau. One of my teachers in 5th grade, his name was Mr. Burnett. And every time he said milk, it was funny as shit. Because he'd be like, you gotta drink your milk. Drink your milk. Me and my friend would fucking say that constantly back and forth to each other. You got some milk? Yeah, I got my milk. You got your milk? M-I-R-K. Fuck. And he's teaching us the English language. It's a travesty. He was actually not a bad guy. The Navy boat trailed the tanker and sailors exchanged gunfire with the pirates before the tanker escaped. So wait a minute. Oh, that's a shitty pirate job. You get right up on a boat and you just take some of the people. That was an oil boat. You could have been like pirate tycoons. You could have bought some real ships or something. Instead of going little motorboats with your machine guns. That shit's so anticlimactic. I'd say it speaks to the effectiveness of an AK-47. Hey, get an AK-47 and you can take down an oil tanker with a fucking fishing boat. What better fucking sales pitch is there than that? I mean, just look at the Somalis pirates. I mean, shit. If there was ever gun commercials on TV, I guess they can't have gun commercials, much like there's no cigarette commercials anymore. But that'd be awesome. Watch as this AK-47 completely subdues this Russian crew of this oil tanker, using only a fishing boat. Jesus Christ, you know how many AK-47s they would sell? Then which they would immediately outlaw, resulting in a civil war that would totally rip shit apart and then bring about the NWO, after which the NATO stormtroopers will round us up and put us in the FEMA camps and put us in fucking plastic coffins. Ask Jesse Ventura about this shit. He'll tell you all about this shit, because him and Alex Jones, they snuck around in the woods and they saw this shit, dog. You just don't know these days. You don't know, if hurricane people are going to put you in a fucking plastic box because you bought an AK-47 on television. Don't buy it. That's why What happened? What happened to my show? My show started off with, me and another guy. And another guy became really weird and stupid to a level that was pretty much intolerable, and everybody found him strange and awkward anyway, which I find myself that way sometimes, but it gets to levels where it's just intolerable. And if I'm awkward around you, I consider myself like at least the crown prince of awkwardness. If you make me feel weird, something's probably wrong with you. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm sure everybody says that. Anyway, it started off with me and that guy, and then that guy, nah. And then we changed the name, and then it's me and 2 other guys. And then we decided it's going to be every Monday. But then, I was pissed off last week. I didn't feel like doing shit. And now I feel like doing shit, and nobody else feels like doing shit. And that's why you're listening to me ramble about farts and pirates and yo-necks. That's my word for a combination between a yo boy and a redneck, and just randomly talking in fucking ebonics, much like my cunt 2nd grade teacher that I farted at bitched me out in front of the class, and boy did the tables turn on her. Know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, dog. Jesus, you ever say something to yourself and you make yourself flinch with how stupid it is? Just say, just saying. Yeah, it does that pretty much every time I say that. So I'm going to try to stop using that phrase. Here's a fun little trick, by the way. It's one of the many stupid things that I know because I happen to get bored and try to find strange ways to entertain myself. But for me, my name is Keith, so if I just go, hey, Keith. That little part in your brain that it tries to perk up because someone is calling your name, it doesn't matter if you're the one calling it. That little part in your brain, you will feel it like a little spark go off in there. You'll almost turn your head towards yourself because you're apparently as retarded as me. Try that one day. I like to enrich people's lives. I'll teach you how to make a frog puppet out of your hands, which is surprisingly easy for me because I got bony fingers. I could teach you all kinds of stuff. Man, if only I was a father, my kid would be pumped full of useless fucking information and stupid human tricks. I can I can spin stuff really fast, once again, on account of the bony fingers. This whole thing seems to be turning into some kind of fucking lecture about my fingers. What does that say? What does that say about me that I talk into a microphone for fucking hours straight and don't even make it interesting? And maybe, are you still, yeah, you're obviously still listening to this. Why? Why are you listening to this? I just want to see how much dead air I can get away with. Basically, I'm just fluffing to try to finish the show now, so let's have a Zen moment. Oh, fuck, I got nothing else to talk about with 5 minutes left. I got nothing to talk about, and I got 5 minutes left. I'm sure plenty of people have turned it off by now. Jesus fucking Christ. Christina Aguilera is kind of like, she's hotter now that she's chubby. Is that just me? I don't know. Are people going to call me a self-hater? Fucking chasing after chubby chicks? I don't know. I don't like bony chicks. I'm bony myself. I got bones. I don't need bones. I need, like, stuff. Cool stuff. And not a ridiculous amount of stuff. I don't want there to be folds and ripples. But, you know, nice curvature. Never hurt anybody. If chicks get too skinny, they stop menstruating. And they're effectively not chicks anymore at that point. I don't know. It's kind of weird. You're supposed to be wired to like stuff that's conducive to creating healthy offspring. And I think chubby chicks, chicks with just a little bit. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Why is everybody on Christina Aguilera so bad? Jessica Simpson, I don't know. Her face just like, she doesn't have the right face to be that big. You're going to have to trim down. Maybe she's lovely in person. And I'm being superficial as fuck right now. And I'm the person who has the least right in the universe to be superficial. Because I look like some kind of Tim Burton created goth puppet. You can practically see the strings on me when I walk in the room. I'm a fucking bony ass dark marionette. Any fat chicks want to date? Huh? Yeah, probably not. Especially since I'm going to be 35 and all the chicks that are my age look like my aunt. I'll go out on a nice date and people will be like, oh, is this your teacher? No, I was actually, considering copulating with this person. Oh. It's one of them, one of them type stories, eh? This is just fucking ridiculous. This whole show is ridiculous. And I congratulate you for having some kind of fortitude to make it through this. And it's been a strange adventure. And as you can tell, I'm winding it down, basically. And maybe I'm a minute off. Maybe I'm like a minute early. But I've just totally run out of relevant things to say. Probably after the first 10 minutes I started talking. So, whatever. I spend a lot of time not talking. It's nice to just, completely talk. For the whole fucking time. All by myself. Who's cutting me off now? Who's fucking interrupted? Maybe if I tell a story and in the first 20 seconds I mention a bike, who's there to pipe up and be like, oh, I remember a bike, and talk for fucking 20 minutes about their bike? 'Cause I wasn't telling a story or nothing. And I don't sound bitter or nothing right now. That's how it is. Ain't nobody here to mention they fucking bike. Nobody here to mention they bike. Or they balls. Or they fucking pogo stick, motherfuckers. Once again with the Ebonics. This is the end of Mr. Podcast, in which I have been Mr. Podcast. And I bid you farewell and thank you for listening to one man's adventure into insanity on a solo basis, motherfucker. Thanks for listening as always. Download and we out.
No, I ain't gonna work on Maggie's farm no more. Well, I